Kancha wapastim sikasun. Hello, my name is Whitehorse, and today I'm going to be passing along my teachings about the Cree 13 moon year. So with Nihio and within Nihiawiwin, or Cree ways of knowing, we were taught that we have a 13-year calendar which follows the 13 moons of the year, because throughout our year, our year very much follows the moon cycles, or the cycles of Nochum Tipskau Pisum, which is the moon, grandmother moon. And within our 52-year cycle, our 52-week cycle, there are 13 moons. So the moon goes from the new moon right to the full moon, and it does this cycle 13 times throughout the year. So when the moon gets to its smallest sliver and it starts switches back to waxing. Now waxing means when the moon starts to go from its smallest point and slowly gets bigger and bigger. So it'll go from the smallest point and it'll slowly grow into the full moon again. So as it's getting bigger and bigger from this tiny sliver, that's what we call waxing. It's growing. So there are 4 weeks from that whole cycle of waxing, so getting smaller, and then waning, getting smaller, and then waxing, which is getting bigger. And once it gets back to the full moon again, 4 weeks have passed. So the new moon is right when it's at its smallest, tiniest sliver of a moon, and it switches to a waxing moon, which starts to grow again. That is what we call a new moon. So the new moon usually happens 2 weeks after the full moon. So it takes 2 weeks to wane, so it gets smaller and smaller. Then we hit the new moon. Then it starts to wax, which means it starts to grow bigger and bigger. And there's 2 weeks span while it's waxing until it gets back to the full moon. So with Nochum Tipskau Pisum, the full moons usually fall between the 15th and 27th of each month on our calendars. And of course the full moons last usually 4 days as it's a full moon. So with Nochum Tipskau Pisum, or grandmother full moon, or grandmother moon, it's traditional belief that the full moon, Nochum Tipskau Pisum, releases healing energy throughout the night in her rays. And as Nihiawak, we believe that this energy can be captured in water to make healing medicine, or just healing water by putting water out in the moonlight for the night during the full moon. Traditionally, when this is done, we'd smudge the water and say a prayer to Kisamantu, our Creator, and then we ask Nochum Tipskau Pisum to put her healing energy into the water. So that water we then use to make medicines with, or drink as healing water for sicknesses, or to take away dark energy, or to refill our energy. So after each full moon that lasts 4 days, the moon starts to wane, as I said. So it takes 2 weeks getting smaller and smaller until it's just a sliver of a moon. And again, we hit the new moon when it's at its tiniest point, and it starts waxing. That means it starts growing again into the new moon. And it takes its slow growth into the next full moon. So this cycle of going from the full moon to the waning moon to the new moon to the waxing moon, like I said, it takes 4 weeks to complete that cycle. And this cycle repeats 13 times throughout our Nihiawak calendar. And of course that totals 52 weeks for our year following the moon cycle. So within the Cree teachings, essentially we name the moons, not the months, as we know them on our calendars. So with this teaching, the Cree equivalent of New Year falls on Kisapism, or during the full moon of January. So in Nihiawiwin, or with Cree beliefs, our new year actually begins on that January full moon, Kisapism, usually between the 15th and the 27th of January. That's when we would normally call it our new year. So the names of the moons in our Cree teachings are January, Kisapism, which is the great moon; February, Miksuapism, which is the eagle moon; March, Niskapism, which is the goose moon; April, Aigapism, which is the frog moon; May, Sagapagawipism, which is the leaf budding moon. For June, we call Paskawahawipism, which is the egg laying moon; July, Paskawapism, which is the molting moon; August, Opahawipism, which is the flying up moon; September, Notsihitoipism, which is the mating moon; October, Bimahawipism, which is the migrating moon; November, Igopiwipism, which is the frost moon; then December, Bawatsakinaisisapism, which is the frost exploding moon. So within our yearly moon cycles, throughout the 13 moons, there are actually 4 really healing moons that we recognize within Nihiawiwin. And those 4 healing moons kind of coincide with the solstices. So of course our solstices, we know we have a summer solstice, which marks our longest day, and the winter solstice, which marks our shortest day. But we also have the moon cycles within those, and those 4 super healing moons are very special within Nihiawiwin. So the first healing moon is during the summer solstice moon, or the Paskawahawipism, egg-laying moon of June, falls near or on the summer solstice of June 21st. The summer solstice marks, of course, the longest day of the year, when Nohum Tipskaupism and Musum Kisagaupism are allowed to see each other for the only time during the year. So this is the only time during the year when the moon and sun are actually in the sky together at the same time. This moon is considered to be a very healing moon. Traditionally, that moon in June marks the day of preparation for Sundance, when those who are preparing for a Sundance our Sundances normally fall around Paskawapism, or the molting moon, in July. So during that solstice moon, Paskawahawipism, that's when Sundancers would normally, traditionally they would do a 4-day fast during that full moon. And during that four-day fast, they would cleanse their body and spirit in preparation for the Sundance. And they would prepare for that entire 4 weeks until the next full moon, or until the Sundance. So during that fasting ceremony, Sundancers, they won't eat. They are allowed to drink water, but they must also tend a fire that has to keep going for that 4 days of their fast. Some beliefs vary on this, and some are a little different, but this is the way the teaching was given to me on that first healing moon, Paskawahawipism, of this that we see during the summer solstice. Now the second healing moon is called Notsihitoipism, or the mating moon of September. So this moon is also called the Hunter's Moon, and it marks the rutting season. This is a very large full moon that we could see the full moon really huge in the sky during that full moon. And that moon usually full moon falls in September. So again, our full moons fall between the 15th and the 27th of the month, and that's where we'd watch for the September healing moon, which a lot of people call the Hunter's Moon. So this moon marks the moon when medicines that were gathered over the summer and fall are usually taken into the sweat lodge to be blessed or given more healing energy in the lodge during that 4-day full moon cycle, because it's believed that with the prayers that moon will put extra healing into those medicines and sort of activate those medicines. So that's usually during that 4 days of that Hunter's Moon, where we'd normally take our medicines into the sweat lodge that we've picked over the summer and the fall. The third healing moon is called Poatsakinesisepism, or the December full moon. So that's the frost exploding moon in December. So again, that moon usually falls between the 15th and 27th of December and lasts for 4 days. But this moon also occurs during the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. And this moon is very special because it's not only healing, but it marks the beginning of the storytelling season within Nihiawiwin, or within Cree beliefs. And this is when normally there are celebrations to celebrate the beginning of the storytelling season, because traditionally this was a time, because of the long nights, this is a time when people were drawn together to visit during the long nights. They share stories, they share knowledge. So it was a special time of year. And this is also seen as a time when we need to gather with family during that whole December moon cycle, because it's believed that during this cycle, that's when our energy from the past 12 moons is at its lowest. And this is where we're feeling drained of energy, and our bodies are feeling weak as well. So it's during that moon that we slowly see ourselves getting weaker and weaker until the next healing moon. So that takes us right into the fourth healing moon in January, Kisapism, or the Great Moon. So this moon is considered the most healing moon of all, as this is sort of like I said, sort of the new year, but it also marks the time when our spirit, our energy is renewed, and all of the energy we lost during the past 12 moons is sort of restored to us, and our mind, body, and spirit are infused with energy from that healing great moon, Kisapism. So like I mentioned before, during each of the 4 healing moons, we've been taught to put out water and capture all of that healing energy of the moons, and we usually collect enough to last from one healing moon to the next full moon, and we use that in medicines and for healing and just for renewing our energy. So that is the knowledge that was passed to me about the 13 moons, and about the power of Nohumtipskaupism, which is our grandmother moon. Uksamaga.